Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Regional Radio Sports Network. We're broadcasting live in living color from Beef O'Brady, State Road 23 in Granger, Indiana. We're back here with you on a Thursday night after being out last week doing Chicagoland Collegiate Athletic Conference and Crossroads League men's and women's basketball. It's been a busy time, and we're going to be talking some buckets tonight. It is a very important night here on the Coach's Box because in addition to having my longtime friend Chad Johnston, head boys basketball coach at John Adams High School, along with Brady Bechtel, they're here. But we're also going to be leading off the program tonight because tonight is the NAIA postseason tournament draw. We'll be finding out where some of our local teams are going. We do know this, that the Indiana University South Bend women's team, which won the CCAC tournament, has got an automatic bid. We do know that. We also know the fact that the Bethel Pilots men's basketball team is on the bubble. We do know that. Likewise is IU South Bend men's team. We do know this, Tanner Kemp, that the Holy Cross men are not going to the national tournament for one of our local schools that we work with. We know both the Goshen men's and women's teams are not going anywhere. But we also know that the Bethel women are not going to the postseason tournament. So we do know that of the 3 NAIA schools and the 6 teams that we have contracts and work with, we do know that there are 3 there. But one is guaranteed, and that is IU South Bend women's. They won the Chicagoland Collegiate Athletic Conference tournament championship for the second year in a row, as they had a remarkable run. So that being said, we'll be talking about that. Is IU South Bend in? They're a bubble team right now. You think they're in? The pairings, the draw is going to come up at the top of the hour.
Well, and Paul, you mentioned this perfectly. This is where those non-conference games, and especially for a team like IU South Bend, with having so few and limited non-conference games, they have to make those count. And, the signature win was against Roosevelt in the semifinals over in Chicago, which was a huge win for the Titans, so that certainly gives themselves a chance. Obviously, it was a tough outing against IU Northwest, who they played remarkable during the stretch. So it's going to be really close, depending on who. They've got a couple of good wins. They got a couple of losses that I'm sure Scott Cooper would love to kind of get back, but only time is going to tell, and in that time it's going to be 57 minutes until the Titans decide their fate. But you mentioned with the Bethel Pilots too, 20th toughest schedule in the entire country, and really almost all their losses were against tough opponents. Oregon Tech over at their place, really the only
every loss was to a top 25 team,
and that goes to show how good that Crossroads League conference is. So, and that's why when you mentioned it, because Steve Draben's always done a remarkable job of beefing up their schedule, and with that record, and with him being in the Crossroads League, which has got at least 4, even 5 other teams that are probably going to get in, that certainly favors the Pilots. But for the Titans, they're definitely going to be on the edge of their seat tonight.
Yeah, and ironically, we have some guys here with local ties. Chad Johnston played for Coach Mike Lightfoot at Bethel. He understands what the expectations are at Bethel. It's not like anywhere else, seriously,
in the country. I mean, like you can say NAIA, excuse me, it's very, very important. And the expectations, it's called a standard, I think. The standard is to get there and then do well in the tournament. And Coach Draven and I talk frequently or text frequently, and he understands that and knows that. So good luck to them in the draw today.
Yeah, they're going to need that. They're going to need a break here. Brady Bechtel, he knows all about it. His dad was one of the all-time great Bethel Pilots. Does the Crossroads League and the Bethel conversation still happen? I know that you spent a year with the Pilots. Does that still come across the dinner table when you go back home?
Every now and then it does. I wouldn't say often, but definitely does from time to time.
Well, the standard that was set there, and you can make the argument that if you look at the last 5 years, there are 4 teams in the state of Indiana that have gone to the national tournament with regularity: Marion, Indiana Wesleyan, Grace, Indiana Tech, and IU South Bend. It's not been the Bethel Pilots because if you look at that, people think that IU South Bend, wow, they kind of flying under the radar, Chad, and I think they do that. And you understand this dynamic. A lot of times, I mean, you look at you've had kids that have gone elsewhere to play, and guess who's playing at IU South Bend right now?
It's funny.
Cortez.
Yes, I just talked to Coach Bechtel about that. He just texted me tonight, and we texted before the game when they played last night. And just always throughout the year. We've seen him twice this year. He is just a remarkable young man.
Yeah.
I always called him a silent assassin because he didn't say much. He just plays hard, and just a really, really good young man and a great player. He's always been that steady Eddie that does what he's supposed to do in the classroom and does what he's supposed to do on the floor.
You know what's ironic? I think a lot of the kids from the Bend get into that situation. I want to go someplace else and play away from home.
Good point, Paul.
I mean, it could be Grace, it could be Bethel, it could be Goshen, it could be wherever, but they want to get out of town. I mean, not for any other reasons than they want to just kind of get out there and spread their wings. But that's where a lot of kids are when they go to college. I mean, Mia, who's with us, she's going to be going to Marquette, it sounds like, and she could easily stay here and work work with us, but go to IU South Bend or whatever, Goshen or whatever the case may be. But there's a chance to get out and spread your wings, and I think you don't really know what you got until you've gone elsewhere and you realize, it's not all it's cracked up to be, right, Chad? Don't you think so?
That's true, and a lot of kids think, just in general with talking with kids, think that Bethel or IUSB is not where it's at, hypothetically.
Sure.
And then I invite them to go to a practice.
Right.
Go to a practice, see how the practice is,
sure,
and how do you measure up in that practice. And 9 times out of 10, if we go to practices, kids realize, well, hold on for a second.
Yeah.
Or an open gym when the season's over in the spring, whatever it may be. You have to realize this is not a bad place.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, and Brady, you understand this all too well, you really don't know how difficult it is until you've played one whole season of the round robin in the Crossroads League on how difficult it is on your body and as well as your mind. It is absolutely freaking brutal.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's a long season, and you play everyone twice, and that conference is no joke. Every game is going to be a grind and a battle. So, yeah, you're definitely right about that.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where when you're in, and the CCAC, right now I think the CCAC and the Crossroads League are, I would say it's the difference. And Tanner, you've got the numbers. So what are the numbers between, if you look at the teams outside of the league?
Yeah, so if you take a look for the CCAC, first for the women, the CCAC against the Crossroads League was 9-21 with 3 wins against Bethel, 2 wins against Huntington, 2 against Mount Vernon, and then 2 against Grace. And then you look at the men's side of things. In 22 meetings, the Chicagoland Collegiate Athletic Conference was 8-14, and the four wins were against Goshen, 2 against St. Francis, 1 against Taylor, and then 1 against Huntington. So that just shows you. And so notice the names we didn't say. Grace, number 1 team in the country. Indiana Wesleyan, consistent top 5 or top 10 in the country. Marion, they've been probably the hottest team in the Crossroads League as of this moment. And that's not discrediting the bottom half teams, but look at Roosevelt University, 11th ranked team, won the regular season, could have made it to the championship, one of their few losses, St. Francis, Indiana. And then that's why when you see with Goshen, who fortunately didn't win a game, but that is a testament to how tough even those teams who didn't make the postseason tournament, how good that conference really is.
Goshen's playing in the Chicagoland Collegiate Athletic Conference. They're right in the middle of the pack. I mean, this league is just so top-heavy. The league is just, Chad, I know, I mean, when you were playing for Coach Lightfoot, there was 2 or 3 really great teams every year, and then it was okay in the middle, and then it was, they had the bottom. But it's gone off the charts, because I remember when Coach Lightfoot hired me in 99-2000 to start doing Bethel men's basketball. I'll never forget the fact that how good that league was, and of course when your dad was playing, Brady, I mean, that's a whole nother thing too. So the league has gotten even better than it was, Chad, when you were playing.
Oh, 100%. The kids are faster, bigger, stronger.
Yeah.
I hate to say this, but it's true. And in '95, that wasn't the case.
Right.
There was a pocket of good players on each team, maybe 1, 2. If you had 3, you were really good.
Sure.
Now you have 5 to 7 that could play anywhere. And I don't want to say. I even want to say Division I, to be honest with you, because I've had conversations with Coach Donegal a lot. He's got a couple kids there that could have went to a small Division I.
Sure.
And they chose to play in the NAIA. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that.
As a matter of fact, there's a lot of things in the NAIA that offers that's even more attractive. Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk about some of those things. But we're broadcasting live tonight, Beef and Braves. We're going to talk about Chad and Brady's team this year. I had a chance to watch them play against now it turns out to be the champion of the sectional, Mishawaka. We'll come back after the timeout, and we'll get some more thoughts from Chad and Brady. But once again, thanks everybody here at Beef with Brady's, for Tanner and Mia and Tanya. We appreciate you joining us here tonight. We'll be back and continue on with the Coach's Box right after this on Regional Radio Sports.
Beef O'Brady's is a locally owned, family-operated restaurant designed for food and sports, featuring appetizers, wraps, pizzas, sandwiches, salads, and wings. Beef O'Brady's also broadcasts televised sporting events. The State Road 23 Granger location has carry-out service and includes a party room and outside patio. More information is available on their website, beefobradys.com, or by calling 574-271-1415. Again, that's 574-271-1415. Beef O'Brady's. Good food, good sports.
Did you know there's a place right here in Michiana that provides comfort and care for families of sick or injured children? Ronald McDonald House Charities of Michiana gives families everything they need, whether it's a hot shower, a comfortable bed, or a home-cooked meal. This allows parents to truly prioritize the health and well-being of their child. Because of people in this community just like you, RMHC Michiana provides their services at zero cost to the families. Find out how you can volunteer or donate to rmhcmichiana.org.
Eric Gunther and State Farm Insurance are proud to underwrite a portion of tonight's game on the Regional Radio Sports Network. Eric's office is located at 356 South Michigan Street in South Bend. Under State Farm Insurance Agency, Eric offers auto and health insurance, as well as financial services. For more information on these or other products that State Farm offers, Eric can be reached at 574-291-1597. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Welcome back here on Regional Radio Sports. I'm Paul Condry. Thanks to Tanner Camp, Mia McComas, Tiny Condry for all the gray hair. And, of course, to my main man, Dante Stanton, back at the studios, who this past weekend won the Best Political Coverage Award out in New York. So I'm so proud of him, who started his broadcast career with Regional Radio Sports. So proud of you, Dante, for all the stuff that you have done. Very, very, very proud of you. We're going to continue our conversation, talking some buckets here today. I know, Tanner, we've got high school buckets coming up this weekend, but we're great to have these guys with us here today. And I probably should, at some point in time during the course of this broadcast, say it's great to have KJ Johnston and Carter Johnson's dad here with us here today, because I know that's probably what makes Sarah a lot happier right now if she's listening right now. So first of all, I'm going to get the family stuff right on the table right from the get-go. There's a whole nother dynamic to coaching when you're coaching your kids than most people don't understand. And I'm going to give you a reference point to this, Chad, and kind of from a football vernacular, because I spend the majority of my life doing, people hear me do a lot of basketball stuff, but I spend the majority of my life doing football stuff. Coach Chris Giesman, the legendary coach at Penn, told me the greatest thrill in his Hall of Fame career in life was coaching his two sons, Matt and Tim, when he was at Penn High School, winning the state championship with his son as the quarterback and all those kind of things. And
sure,
he says it was the greatest experience. Now, for some coaches, I've talked to other coaches, they didn't want to have that experience. And I've got to be, I'm the guy raising his hand.
Sure.
I coached my daughters for 2 years, and it wasn't a great experience for me. But they were in bitty basketball or youth league basketball at the time. So. What was your experience like?
Yeah, it was really good. KJ didn't play for 2 years because he tore his labrum. And I get kind of, not emotional, but it's really, really special to have both of them in the gym at the same time.
Yeah.
I really realized that after the Monday we lost, that I didn't see them both. You know what I mean? I see them, but it's not for 2.5 hours a day. But I really appreciate KJ for coming out. Carter, I got 3 more years with him, which I'm very excited about. KJ, we won 9 games. Brady can attest to this, I believe. We probably would have won 6 or 7 without him. Honest to God.
Absolutely, yeah.
If he would have been steady with no injury, he would have been a totally different player. Not the leading scorer in the state, just a facilitator and knew the game.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And Brady alluded to this, told me this many times. He was a second leading charge taker, how do you want to say it?
Yeah.
Taking a charge for the whole state besides the guy from the Cathedral. So that's a guy that just laid his stuff out every single practice, got injured. But I really, going back to your point, it's really special. You can't get it back. And some days, yes, but we get home, I would not talk basketball until they brought it up. And that's doing my research before they got to me.
Right.
So I go down to talk to the Ben Davis coach, Mark James, like they were little, talk to Mark Galloway, talk to all the coaches down there. I talked to Coach Bechtel. Where do you fit? If the kid's really good, not that good, average, how do you play that? So I really, it's by the end of the day, it's your family, right? So you got to think about that. So it was really, really good, Paul.
Brady, I mean, I'm going to bring you into this. I mean, your dad was a living legend at Bethel. I mean, he's one of the all-time greatest players to ever play there, and you had to have that. I'm going to say this in a nice way. You had that cloud hanging over your head your whole life, no matter what you're going to have. Seriously, I mean, that's something you've got to live with. And I'm going to hope you guys can relate to this because I've got it going on with my family too. You know, with the kids, especially my son Randall, who does some sportscasting for us, albeit just a little. He has a hard time because what Dad has accomplished. I'm not doing that to toot my own horn, but it's a difficult situation for them to be able to kind of live up to. And then Chad, you know, I mean, you just never know. He may turn out to be a great coach. They may not even want to go into coaching. I mean, Corey Oman's son didn't go in to be a full-time coach. And, so, I mean, there's so many variables. So, from your perspective, how did your dad handle when you were a high school player, and then when you went to college? I mean, how did he handle the family aspect of balancing you and all the other stuff? What was it like?
Yeah, it was really great actually, and he kind of handled the situation pretty much the same way Chad did. It was, you know, when practice was over, when the game's over, and you get home, you know, basketball talk is done unless I were to bring it up, which was good. I thought it was good for the balance because there were times where I was upset with him or frustrated with him if he was getting on me or whatever. So it was good to, you know, you get home, you leave basketball at the school, and you focus on family time.
Chad, I had a really hard time in the transition because I thought my daughter Leah, especially my oldest, who's 42 right now, just to put that in perspective, okay,
Sure.
Brady. My daughter's 42. So putting that, okay. But having said that, it was a situation where I expected her to know what I knew. And I failed miserably at her not living up to what I thought she knew. Just because I thought she would know because of osmosis, of just being around the game. I thought she was going to be those quote-unquote coaches' kids like Brady was. I mean, I thought that she was going to be like that. But she didn't process the information in basketball like she did with the other stuff that she did. And she's a gifted and godly woman now, and I'm happy for that. I'm just kind of bearing my soul here. But there's things that you think, well, you know, you ought to know this. You've been around the program for how long? Did you have that mindset?
Yep, a little bit. Let's go. I want to go back to your previous comment when you talked about your son first, and the same thing you're dealing with. It's the same thing, different wrapper, right? I'm a coach. You've done a heck of a job. I don't use bad words, but heck of a job what you're doing. So he has a little pressure on him, right? Just his own mindset. KJ, I think, and Brady can attest to this, I think he knows the game as a 18-year-old better than I do a little bit. I'm not lying. He knows where every kid's supposed to go. Every single practice, every single game, he directed it. So I wasn't worried about that aspect. Your daughter may not have gotten it, but KJ got it. He understood he watches basketball all day, twice on Sundays. And still, we were just watching it last night, just breaking down the game, you know, just whatever, about subs, about defense, offense. So, to your point, I think because she didn't get it, it's okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, and at the time you're thinking to yourself, man, did I fail as a coach's kid? And you know, as you get older. But I'm just telling you that's how I felt at the time, and I remember distinctly how I felt. So, what's the stage with Carter now? I mean, is Carter going to be barring any injury, and we've seen how injuries can change careers.
Sure.
So where's Carter at in his development and maturation?
That's a great question. And yesterday, or the Monday we got done, he wanted to go to the gym immediately, and we did. Coach Bechtel could probably talk better about it because he knows Carter basketball-wise better, but he's got a chance to be a good high school player.
Yeah, he absolutely has a good chance to be a good player. Carter is just like KJ in the sense that he understands the game. He's a coach's kid. He just gets it, and he's a gym rat. He's always wanting to go to the gym. And like he said, season just ended, and he's already in there working out. So I think he has a chance to be really good.
Let me go back and say, because I put a little bit on him, he really, really loves the game, right? KJ loves the game, but KJ was here, I tell him the same thing. KJ checked the temperature, what time it is outside, and then he wanted to go to the gym. Carter wants to go to the gym every morning, every night. There's times when he was in 8th grade, I'd come home from practice. He wanted to go back to the gym after I get home from practice. Trust me.
And he wants to live there.
He wants to live there.
Yeah.
And him and Jarvis were there last night, night 4, just for an hour, just working out. It wasn't shooting, clowning around. It was work. So I'm really proud of his work ethic in that aspect, as well as with KJ. KJ's just a different stage in his life. He's 18 and just different stage. So.
All right, we're going to take the family dynamic off the table, but I just from one dad to the other, I just want to kind of touch base on that. We come back and we'll talk about your team. We're going to talk about high school basketball. Tanner's going to set the stage for the postseason. We're going to get Chad and Brady's thoughts on this. We'll also talk about Jarvis Tolbert All, Northern Indiana Conference selection. Also, Maury Weston, honorable mention All-League. We'll get to talk about those guys, and we'll continue on. Once again, thanks for joining us here. We're live tonight from Beef O'Brady's, State Road 23 in beautiful Granger, Indiana. We'll continue on with the Coach's Box with Tanner and I and Mia. And we'll be back with more right after this on 91.1 FM The Globe and globeradio.org.
Beef O'Brady's is a locally owned, family-operated restaurant designed for food and sports, featuring appetizers, wraps, pizzas, sandwiches, salads, and wings. Beef O'Brady's also broadcasts televised sporting events. The State Road 23 Granger location has carry-out service and includes a party room and outside patio. More information is available on their website, beefobradys.com, or by calling 574-271-1415. Again, that's 574-271-1415. Beef O'Brady's. Good food, good sports. The Regional Radio Sports Network thanks Cubit Networks for their support of high school and college athletics. Since 1986, Cubit Networks is focused on providing a quality experience for their customers. They take computer security seriously and have the necessary tools to keep your digital assets and environment safe. They're located at 103 Polk Street in LaPorte, and their phone number is 219-369-4357. Cubit Networks, moving and storing data fast and safe.
The Regional Radio Sports Network would like to thank Centier Bank for their financial support for tonight's broadcast of Penn Athletics. Owned by the Schrock family since 1895, Centier Bank provides a full-time line of banking options, including mobile apps. They've got locations in Lake, Porter, LaPorte, Marshall, Elkhart, and St. Joseph counties. Their website is www.centierbank.com.
Welcome back here on Regional Radio Sports. Glad you've hopped along with us here today from our broadcast location here at Beef O'Brady's. Thanks again to Beef O'Brady's, to Mark and his team. Always enjoyed spending time here with our friends, and of course the Thursday night shows. Once again, it's a busy night in NEI because immediately after this program on the NEI website, they will have their postseason pairing show, and we'll do that. I might point out it's just a very, very average production. So if you're looking for something a lot with frills and thrills, you're going to be highly disappointed. It's just put it up there on the screen, no commentary what it is. Unlike when I host the football pairing show for the
There
IHSA.
you go. Yeah.
That's a whole nother ballgame.
Oh, we got to tune into that.
Okay. Tanner, we've got high school basketball. Some teams that really kind of surprised me. I'm going to get Chad's thoughts on this. Mishawaka went in the sectional over here at Mishawaka. I saw Chad's team play against them. I thought Michigan City was much improved as the season went on, but that jumped off the bed. Mishawaka's surprise, and Crown Point. I mean, Clint Swan can coach him up. I met Clint Swan when he was an assistant coach for Bob Busher when he was at Andron. That takes you way, way back.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
This was back in Carson Cunningham's
Yes.
days, and back in the days when I was living, eating, drinking, and sleeping region basketball for the first 25 years of my career there. So he's a great coach, and I think, and Tanner, I know you saw them more than I, because you spent a lot of the year in the Duneland, and so you can speak more to that. Can Crown Point win that regional, or is East Chicago the team to beat, or is it Mishawaka?
So it's going to be, and just to clarify, both games are going to be on regional radio sports over at the Wolves Den in Michigan City. Again, East Chicago taking on Mishawaka, and then Warsaw, who of course beat Penn over at Northside Gym in Elkhart to beat Crown Point. And quite frankly, Paul, I absolutely think Crown Point can. They got a real key player, Jack Svedich. He had 7 triples. He had just as many points as Chesterton. And keep in mind, this was a neutral site, but it was still in Chesterton's gym. And his son Elliot, another dynamic with the father-son.
Sure.
He's a great defender. I really love his game. He is not going to hesitate. Who's the best player? That's who I want. But I absolutely think they can. But of course, a Warsaw team, you always got to be ready. They obviously had a bit of an easier path until they ran against Barry Kuhlman. And shout out to Barry Kuhlman. He did a great job in his first year since taking over for Al. But then you look at that East Chicago-Mishawaka game. East Chicago, a team that I think flew under a lot of people's radars. They'd be pretty good, but 16-4 or whatever the record may be, they're a team that I could very well see beating Mishawaka, especially neutral site. It's at the Wolves Den, and so that's going to be tough. We know how Mishawaka plays. If they control the pace, they're in it just like anyone else. So those two games that we're going to have on our slate on Regional Radio Sports and RSN.com, that's a toss-up for both one, but I do believe that the Cardinals and the Bulldogs could very well be playing for a chance at semi-state next week.
Okay, some other local games involving, I know you're going to be doing the Michigan City Marquette game in Class 1A, so I know you've got that on your plate. But some other games of note, I know South Bend St. Joe winning, I think was Chad, do you think that was a little bit of a surprise? I thought Robbie Berger's guys who won a piece of the conference championship, I thought that they were going to, and they beat St. Joe earlier in the year. Do you think that was going to be? Do you think that they were there? What was your take on that?
That was a little bit of surprise. The margin was to me. The margin of victory was surprising to me. But talent-wise, St. Joe's, besides Riley, to me in the city, which I just from last year to the first of this year, I thought they were Riley and St. Joe were the best talented on paper that we've seen. And now I talked to Gaff the other day about, Wednesday, about like preparation and things like that.
Sure.
And what they've done different than they did in the Homestead tournament and everything, they've shared the ball a lot better now, right? They've shared it, and they're not worried about if Tanner's or Paul's shooting. They're sharing the ball and playing better defense. So really excited to see what they can do. But they're very talented.
Okay, so if you look back at the regional championship in Michigan City with East Chicago, Crown Point, Mishawaka, and Warsaw.
Yep.
You've seen a lot of film on a lot of teams, so you've probably seen most of those teams at least some point. Maybe not as much with East Chicago. Who wins that regional from your take?
So we played East Chicago in the Huntington tournament, and we were down 3 starters. We lost by 10. We were playing. Actually, Carter played quite a bit of that game.
Yeah, he
if
did.
I'm correct.
Yep.
Not bring my son up, but we played a lot of JV/varsity players that game. East Chicago Central was very talented. They have a very good player. The stands were kind of filled with MAC schools that were there.
Yeah, right.
He's a different level player. I think they're very talented. The coach this year, and we've had him and I have conversations. He's he's got them playing well and disciplined, which is very good to see. I think Mishawaka had a handful, but I thought Riley was the best team coming out of South Bend. I really did. So credit to Mishawaka. I think it's going to be a good game, but I really think they're very talented. Now, Crown Point, Paul and Tanner, that's probably, besides Portage, we played watched probably 4 or 5 films on them, and they just have they don't have a superstar, which is great. So they have a lot of guys that do a great job of playing their role, which sounds cliche, but it's true.
Okay, so my question automatically, when you're thinking about preparation, which coach is going to prepare his team to take away what they do better than their opponent? Okay, I'm looking at Matt Moore as a great coach.
100%.
Down on Warside. I already mentioned about Swanee. He's the guy that's been around. I have yet to had any interaction with the East Chicago coach, but our company does East Chicago basketball, so I know everybody is excited about that. And then you look at the other situation. Where do you feel? I mean, and where Bodie's at. I mean, who would have ever thought that that Mishawaka? I watched Mishawaka play you guys, and I watched Riley immediately after. I thought Riley was going to blow Mishawaka off the floor,
100%.
but their athleticism. So Bodie did something along the way to take Riley out of what they like to do, and to me that speaks volumes. You can talk personnel all you want,
Sure,
but the coach that takes what this team does away, that's who wins.
And he does a great job with the switching defenses. When I say switching, he just switches everything. We struggled to score the first time. We lost by 2. We did great. If you hold a team to 52, you think you're doing okay.
Sure,
right? You
absolutely.
shouldn't win, right? But they did a great job of holding our offensive best players and limited them to good shots. So he's got to he'll have a great game plan going in. But we'll see that they have a lot more height than anybody that in our sectional did. They have length, and they have really good guards. East Chicago Central does. But I wouldn't be surprised either way, to be honest with you. I'm not trying to be a political guy.
No, I get it, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised either way. But they're both very, very talented.
When you think about your time, at Washington, or you talk about your time at South Bend Adams, and you think about some of the great coaches that you've had a chance to be engaged with and compete against in those type of scenarios. Is there a guy that was on your schedule or on your radar every year? It's like he's going to find something that we do that I don't even know what it is, and he's going to exploit that weakness, and he is going to somehow expose us. Is there a guy or a couple of guys that you've competed against that always? I'm not talking about matching personnel for personnel.
Sure.
I'm just talking about guys because we all know one of my favorite all-time cliches is it's not about X's and O's, it's about the Jimmies and the Joes. But I'm talking about the X's and O's here. Who's a couple of X and O's guys?
That's a great question, actually, Paul. That's a great question. And there's one guy that you guys may or may not know. He's an old Elkhart Central coach. His name was Terry Smith.
Okay.
And he had us down before I even called it out. It was defended. I'm not knocking anybody anywhere.
Yeah, I get you.
But he had us to a T. I don't care what set we ran. I don't care what we did, offensively or defensively. We could not, and we beat him at times, but I just knew he knew what was going on. And it was a credit to him and his staff, whoever he had, because people don't really realize how much you rely on guys like Brady and guys like Carl Taylor, guys like Chris. All my assistants do a great job, and that's unseen sometimes. A lot of times the head coach gets to be the head of the snake, and that's great.
Yeah.
But you also have to realize you're only as good as your staff is. Like, you can know all the X's and O's, but if your staff's not there, then you're just an average Joe, by the way. And I've just speaking from experience, your staff is extremely important. And I know I switched gears, Paul, and I'm sorry.
But did Terry Smith this one from Elkhart Central?
He was good.
Okay.
He was really good. There's Bodie this year, no question. We sat and figured out how we could expose these switching defenses. So I sat for probably many hours trying to figure out our offense. I wasn't really worried about our defense. I was more worried about our offense and how we could score. And he did a really good job just stopping our scores. I thought we did well defensively, but he definitely has figured it out. And mind you, and just like every year, we've had good years, and he's got 7 seniors, right? We had 3. Every year it changes and evolves.
Oh yeah.
The best programs have 3 or 4 seniors every year. That's a program. It's not great one year and then 2 and 19 the next. I think that's important. It's hard when you're in a small school or big school. It depends on the people that come out as well. So, to answer your question, there's a lot of coaches. Rob Berger did a great job this year as well against us. His zone defense is hard. I've seen it in a million years, so it's hard to crack if you don't have the personnel to combat what they do. It's really hard.
Okay, so
challenging.
Jarvis Tolbert, All Northern Indiana Conference. Let's talk about his. I mean, this kid's only in 10th grade, right?
Yeah, and he's not even 16 yet. So
okay, so he is going to be a primetime player. So give us an idea on. I mean, I don't know. We don't want to put a ceiling on him because that's not fair to him or to anybody else. No. But is he as talented as the kid you've had as a 10th grader in a long time?
Yeah, it's funny you said. It's funny you would bring Jarvis up because if you remember Jonathan Jamerson.
Oh yeah.
Just got a call, got invited to his wedding, got an invitation. He's the closest. Jonathan was a different player, but one of the leading scorers in the state, right? Jarvis' ceiling, 2 things. He's a great student, and he's a great kid. He's coachable, and he works really hard.
That's a recipe for success,
right
there.
It's really good. We went down already the things he has to work on for next year. We had that conversation. We have an exit interview with all the kids. We're going to do more next week, but letting the kids know what the expectation is very important to me. It's not going to be what does coach want? This is what you have to do to be successful or make this team next year. The kids, but Jarvis is a special talent. He's just like Jonathan Jamerson was.
We're going to take a quick timeout, come back. After the timeout, we're going to talk to Chad. He recently achieved a coaching milestone as he bagged his 300th career win this year. We'll talk about some of the emotions on that night and what that means to him. We're going to continue our conversation here right after this short timeout. We're live on 91.1 FM The Globe and globeradio.org, and we'll be back right after this 90-second timeout.
Beef O'Brady's is a locally owned, family-operated restaurant designed for food and sports, featuring appetizers, wraps, pizzas, sandwiches, salads, and wings. Beef O'Brady's also broadcasts televised sporting events. The State Road 23 Granger location has carryout service and includes a party room and outside patio. More information is available on their website, beefobradys.com, or by calling 574-271-1415. Again, that's 574-271-1415. Beef O'Brady's. Good food, good sports.
Did you know there's a place right here in Michiana that provides comfort and care for families of sick or injured children? Ronald McDonald House Charities of Michiana gives families everything they need, whether it's a hot shower, a comfortable bed, or a home-cooked meal. This allows parents to truly prioritize the health and well-being of their child. Because of people in this community just like you, RMHC Michiana provides their services at zero cost to the families. Find out how you can volunteer or donate to rmhcmichiana.org.
Eric Gunther and State Farm Insurance are proud to underwrite a portion of tonight's game on the Regional Radio Sports Network. Eric's office is located at 356 South Michigan Street in South Bend. Under State Farm Insurance Agency, Eric offers auto and health insurance, as well as financial services. For more information on these or other products that State Farm offers, Eric can be reached at 574-291-1597. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Welcome back here on Regional Radio Sports. My name is Paul Condry, along with Tanner Camp, me and McComish. We're here live with the Coach's Box on 91.1. Thanks again to the award-winning Dante Stanton for always taking the time to be with us on our program. He's got 100,000 things on his plate, but he always has time for me, and I am so grateful to Dante for doing that. He's a senior at Goshen College, and I know that he's going to be wrapping up his career, and the Coach's Box will never be the same without him, I will say that. So thanks again, Dante, for all the things throughout the course of the years. Chad Johnson is the boys basketball coach at John Adams High School in South Bend, Indiana. Chad, I know you think about all the places you've been, all the games you've seen, and the wide variety of things, and we talked about having the kids play for you, and that's awesome. And you got a couple, 3 more years here with Carter that you're going to be excited about. But professionally speaking, you don't get into the game of coaching to win trophies and do those kind of things. You don't get into this stuff to do those kind of things. But there's some things that happen along the way just because out of pure longevity. I always tell my young people that are on my team that if you look at the laundry list of the awards that the team has won or that I've won or whatever, or Mike Knesevich has won, but it's because it's out of pure longevity. The people feel sorry for you. Let's give this to this old dude over here. So those kind of things. But there's nothing better in the world to be able to see your hard work pay off with some milestone moments. And winning your 300th game, I know that had to be a wonderful thing especially to have your boys with you on the same team. And I know between you and Sarah that you've got to feel very, very good in it because it's really a family. That's 300 wins for your family.
Yep.
And it's just not you as well as your assistant coaches. So let's talk about the milestone. How did it feel, and did you feel any different than any other game that you won?
I really didn't, to be honest with you. I want to also bring up a point that if you don't have really good administration, athletic directors, whatever it is, that's a huge part of that to make you feel comfortable.
Sure.
Right? To make sure your day goes good so you can spend time with kids. That's important. A lot of coaches may not talk about that, but I think that's really important. It's a great milestone, but I couldn't do that if I didn't have good administration. Because a lot of times, if I had a year I had this year, well, wait, we may need to make another shift or do something else. My administration at Adams is very good. They come to away games. My assistant principals my principal are at different venues outside of South Bend. So it's really to me as I get older, that's just as important to have great backing. If you don't, that makes it miserable. I got to be honest. If you have support from people above you, above your pay grade, it's really important. So I have to thank them. And my wife has been unbelievable. Like, she's been in from Jump Street.
Right.
And she has kids over. She Venmos kids. I shouldn't say this, but she Venmos kids whatever they need for books, for utensils, whatever they need.
Sure. We all have done that.
Yes, it's so good. And she's in it for the right reasons. We're in it for the right reasons. So it's really, really important for us. We don't put it on social media. I just don't feel you do what God tells you to do.
Amen to that.
And you just you follow your heart and do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So I don't need any recognition. No one cares about that. I care about the kids, and that's it. And so I really just want to thank my administration. Jim Seitz was my assistant at Washington. Probably, I don't know if it was 8 or 9 years. Now, fortunate enough to be my principal. He understands athletics. He understands school. He understands kids. So it's really important to have a good administration moving forward as you get older.
Sure.
And I don't feel old, trust me. I still got a lot of years left.
Well, I do. Tanner, you got a thought for Coach?
Well, actually, yeah, Coach Bechtel, this one's for you as we kind of hear, Coach Johnson's mindset of the team. You and I are in a similar boat. You're the assistant coach for Chad Johnston's team.
Right.
I'm the assistant coach for Paul Condry's team. And as you kind of hear this, it's important for guys like us because it's not just we're doing random daily day tasks. It's up to us to help, whether for your case it's scouting, whether it's talking to the kids, whether Coach Johnson's not around. And in my case, it's helping Paul with other tasks, whether it's game prep, whether it's working on the Indiana Football Digest. Can you just speak what it's like? I'm fortunate to have a great leader who I've been under for the last couple of years since I graduated from Goshen, and you're obviously under great leadership with Coach Johnson winning his 300th game. Can you just speak to what that's like to be just like where I'm in a position of you're under such a great influence that not only does it put you in a position to succeed, not with this program, but if you ever decide it's time for you to join the head coaching reins, that you are going to be prepared because you've been under great leadership.
Yeah, absolutely. Being under Chad has been really, really great. I feel very blessed and fortunate to have been connected with him. So it's only been 2 years, but it feels like I've been with him for a really long time just because, we've grown pretty close. He's like my family now. So having a leader like that you can learn under as a young person is awesome. You find drills that you like. You find different defensive schemes. You have plays you're going to take away. the way you handle practices, the way you plan practices, the way you divvy out all of your things to your assistants. You got scouting reports, you got going to games to scout, you got things like making sure the camera gets taken on the bus to away games, and the balls and the med kit and all that stuff. So being around someone that's been doing this for so long and has done it so well is really great.
Well, I'm going to hop right back in there and put this back in. Don't let me forget to come back to the administrative technical fouls that we saw this. We saw 2 administrative technical fouls at the college level this week. I want to talk about that one. But I want to get this thought because Chad and I also, as the situation as head coaches, there's a point in time when you take on a young whippersnapper. I'll use Tanner as an example since he's here, since he brought it up. I'll piggyback on what he said.
Sure.
There comes a time where you have to say to yourself, I fully trust you. The first, Tanner's, we've had this conversation. The first year he was here, I did not trust Tanner because he was still learning what he was trying to do. And there comes a point in time where as you work together, like you two guys are working together, Brady and Chad, that I can give him more now. I can feed him more. There's the old biblical mandate that this just popped in my head. It's milk, meat, manna, or what? Milk, manna, and meat. So when someone's a young Christian, you just want to feed them milk, and then it's manna, and then you can go to a full-blown meal at meat. So it's like your spiritual development. You can't throw a steak at someone who's a young believer. Chad, as you well know this, really in the same situation what we're having here with coaching, you just can't say, okay, Brady, I'm going to give you this, and this, and it's like, whoa. And then all of a sudden it's just like you hit the wall. And so there comes a fine line, and I do the same thing with me. I hear me as a student interning from us from Concord High School. The first 2 or 3 weeks that Mia was with me, I was teaching her game cards and how we prepare and do things. And I went back and checked her work, and there was mistakes. And I told her, I said, hey, listen, this is what you got to get better at because I need to be able to completely trust you. So there's it comes a time. So the question after all that long soliloquy right there is, is there a ceiling for you and say, I completely trust you with every single thing in my program? And then are you willing to say, it's time for you to be a head coach?
Right. Yes, I do trust him, but there's a lot more for him to grow in, right? He's going to be a head coach one day. It's not going to be tomorrow. Just my opinion.
Yeah, no, you're right.
But he will eventually get there. What I love about Coach Bechtel is he doesn't think he should be there tomorrow. He knows the process of this. A lot of kids his age think they should be at Duke tomorrow, coach being an assistant. Like, it's not the truth. Coach Shrewsbury said something the other day that I really, really like. It's called culture, right? So as a culture, and I think we've done a good job at Adams developing a culture. So I define the culture, my assistants defend the culture, and the players exhibit the culture. That's what it's about.
Awesome.
That's what it's about. And they do a great job of defending the culture, whatever it is. Well, Paul, you missed second hour, right? So you may not start tonight. You may be the guy off the bench. So it's not always bad. Like, you did a great job in practice. So you know what? You're moving up the ladder, and they defend what we represent. So I truly, truly believe our culture is really good at Adams. I think it's going to continue to grow. We struggled this past year. That is what it is. But I think we're going to continue to get better.
Well, when you look at 9 and 15 based upon the schedule that you play, and there's some really, really good basketball teams. This Michigan City Marquette team that Tanner's going to see on Saturday, you played them.
Yeah.
They're a team that's won a sectional. You look at Maryville had a great year in the Duneland Conference. They were co-champs. You mentioned East Chicago. They had a great year. Michigan played Michigan City. And then, of course, you went and played through your entire Northern Indiana Conference, as well as some teams from the Northern Lakes because you got Mishawaka, played them twice. So as you look at the landscape with a roster of only 3 seniors, and KJ was one of them, you have to feel very, very good. I know you're going to miss Amari Wesson.
Sure.
He's an honorable mention kid, but seriously, I mean, my favorite line. The future's so bright, you got to wear shades.
It is good. We're very excited about it. Our JV coach Taylor did a great job with our JV. That's another aspect of our culture. You got to do what is in the culture, not to win games. I told our freshman coach, I don't care if you win a game all year, just teach proper shooting form, teach the proper footwork. Please do that, and you can go 0-20. It doesn't matter. It's the other things. People get caught up in wins and losses. You can't get caught up in that. It's development of young men. That's very important to us, and I think we have the right guys in position to do that.
When you look at the makeup and the landscape of the South Bend School Corporation, it's a lot different than when you started. Matter of fact, it seems like it's changing, and it's fluid. It may be completely changed by next week the way things are, and that's Paul's personal opinion.
That's very true.
But so when you have so many different things that are available, I can go here now, I can go there now. It's not like in the early days of South Bend athletics. I'll never forget when Tom DeBase won the state championship at Clay. All those kids were pretty close, tight, and they were right there in that little geographical area, which was Clay High School. So, and there may be some exceptions to those rules, but I mean, for the most part, it's really kind of the open enrollment mindset is different. So, you have to. You're not for everybody. Ryan Vargas not for everybody. Alex Daniels not for everybody, and so you have to look at those. So you've got to be able to say, this is what I'm going to hang my hat on. Mm-hmm. So if a parent was to say to me, my son's going to be a freshman in high school next year, and they were going to come to you and say, Mr. Johnston, I would like for you to tell me what you hang your hat on. Well, how would you respond to that?
There are two things. One, most important, you're going to go to class, and you're going to get an education at Adams High School, and that's number one. And that's, people say that's whatever, like the same thing, student athlete. They are, number one. They're student athletes. Number two, you have to buy into the program, right? And we're trying to develop you to get ready, if you want to go to the next level. Some kids, they're cool just being high school players.
Sure.
Other ones, like Jarvis Tobart, have aspirations to be a college player, whatever that may be. Mm-hmm. A lot of kids, you're not going to Duke. Let's just be honest. And you could. There could be somebody coming to go to Duke.
Sure.
But if you're not going there, what's the best fit for you for college? We're going to develop you, back to your point, as a young man and a student and an athlete as well. Because I think our family has done that. And I think we continue to do that. Are we going to coach you? Yes. Is that a bad shot? It probably was. But if it's within our offense and you defend and rebound, you will have a great chance of playing. So it's more the relationships with me now. It's kind of shifted a little bit. I got to get to know these kids a lot better. And like you said, it may not be right for Adams. It may be right for across the street. It is what it is. But I really, really think if you come, you're a part of a family, number one, and on turn, it'll help you get to college.
How is South Bend Clay closing going to play into the landscape of athletics in South Bend?
Yeah.
Or is it too early to tell?
It's a little bit too early to tell, but that's a great question as well. I also think let's go with the coaches first. Okay. Coach Barnbrook didn't do anything wrong, right? Sure. Katie Rodriguez, the volleyball coach, didn't do anything wrong. I would like to see a plan in place for them, soccer coach, tennis coach,
absolutely,
volleyball coach, whatever you want to say. I just know the other coach is a little bit better. They did nothing wrong. So why are they losing their jobs? And if there's a plan, where's that plan? Like, if Tanner was the basketball coach, well, he should.
Sure, absolutely. I totally agree with that.
There's no plan, and I don't care. Just being honest. There's no plan to say where those people land. Are they out of a job? They just lost their job.
Do you think it's a mistake that South Bend Clay is closing?
No, I don't. I went to Clay.
I know.
So I think we're with the amount of money it takes to operate lights, custodians,
Sure.
you could name 1,000 things.
Oh, yeah.
And the enrollment that's there,
Yeah.
it's the right move. But where do those kids go? I think it all went, I'm going to be honest, I think it all went sideways when you did school choice. That was
Sure.
back when Joan Raymond was, she's
Sure.
God rest her soul, she's deceased now. But when that wasn't a school choice, you had great, it was neighborhood schools.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? That was, to me, that's where South Bend thrived.
Yeah, Coach Heck tells me to this day, he says that was the demise of the neighborhoods, kids growing up in the same neighborhoods, growing up and spending their entire careers together instead of so-and-so going across town, so-and-so going across town. Final question.
Sure.
If you had to change one thing about IHSAA basketball, whether it be a shot clock,
Sure.
or whether it be the length of the schedule, maybe the opportunities to spend more time in the preseason, if you could change the calendar of high school basketball, what would Chad Johnston do?
It's a great, three good ones, Paul. Really, three good ones. The shot clock, I don't care either way a little bit. Do I think we need one? Yes, but I'm not the guy in the front doing this.
Yeah.
I do think the season needs to probably be shortened a little bit because people get burned out. I don't. I could do this all day, twice on Sundays right now in my pocket of my life. But you go from this till March, after spring break, we're going to start again, right? Then all June, I'll be there all June. Shorten the season may help a little bit, but other than that, I think that there's a lot of things that need to be changed. That's a different conversation. But I really think that the pocket of time, I don't know, it's hard to say. I got a lot. It's a lot. It's a full loaded question.
It really is.
But the shot clock, I could see it both ways. Let me go back real quick. The class basketball is what I probably changed.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Let's
yeah.
just
There's
go
no
with that.
question about that.
I would do 2 classes, 1 and 2A together, and a 3 and 4 together. We're hemorrhaging money, right? The IHSA maybe not hemorrhaging money, but I think it's really important. And I'm going back to the statement that we're in a society now. We want to make kids feel good. You need a trophy.
Yeah.
You need a trophy. That is what it is.
Yeah.
But I would go to 2 classes. That's just my own opinion.
Case in point, we started off the program about postseason awards and stuff, and postseason stuff. I don't know why that the Crossroads, they go to the Chicagoland Collegiate Athletic Conference, has to have a second team where there's 10, honorable mention where there's 10, and first team where there's 10. I don't get it. How about the top 5 and that's it? Second team, top 5. I don't know why we're giving out all the trophies, but that's a story for them. Now we could do this show for 2 hours. Chad, I'm so proud of you, brother. I'm so proud of you continue what you're doing, man. From the time you were at BC to the time what you're doing right now. Give my best to Sarah and the boys and Brady. Give my best to your pops. He's one of the good guys. So are you. Keep up the great work.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys. Chad, as always, great to see you, brother.
And real quick, I want to say this because I can. Both you and Tanner and your whole crew here does a great job for high school athletics. I don't care if it's a football side. It doesn't matter to me if it's a basketball side. You care about kids. You care about bringing the truth to whatever it may be, and that's a really important aspect of what your guys are doing. And it's really, really refreshing always to hear and listen to.
That's going to do it. Thanks again to Chad Johnson, for Brady Bechtel, for our team here, for Tanya and Mia and Tanner. I'm Paul Condry. God bless you all. See you next Thursday right here on the Regional Radio Sports Network.